Morning.
Okay, all good. Thanks, Shelley.
How are you, Steph?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling much better. Thank you.
Good, good, good. Are you almost 100%?
No,
Okay.
it's lingering
Okay.
around, but it's okay. It's getting better.
Yeah, just stay home and rest up, okay?
Do you see where I am?
Where are you?
I'm not in Kansas anymore.
Where are you?
At work.
Oh, at work? Are you at work? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Actually, I was going to come up there in a bit and just pick up my check. It's in the room where they keep all the photocopiers and stuff.
Hey, Steph,
Yeah.
being recorded and it's
Okay.
at Messages.
Perfect.
Have a good class.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to yoga. It's beautiful Wednesday noon. Sort of beautiful, not really, but what can one do? We just have to do our yoga, right? And hope you all are having a great week. I hope you are staying nice and safe and nice and warm in your houses. And let's get together and do some yoga. So sit in a comfortable seat. Make sure that you are comfortable. Open your legs up, cross your shins, and then roll your shoulders back. Just do a few little shoulder rolls, just releasing any tension. Perfect. And then just let your arms drip down and rest your hands on your legs. Close your eyes. Take a few moments to come into your breath. Inhale in through the nose. Exhale out through the nose. Inhale in. Exhale out. Inhale in. Exhale out. Two more breaths, just allowing yourself to settle. Perhaps you're really busy this morning. Perhaps you've got something happening this afternoon, or perhaps this weather is making you a little lethargic. Just take a moment to settle. And then at the end of the next exhalation, please bring your palms together to your heart. Take a full breath, inhale. As you exhale, bow your head down towards your heart and set your intention for your practice. And then when you're ready, slowly lift the head up. Keep the eyes very soft as you bring your attention into the periphery of the room. Lovely. And then just bring your hands down. And then again, roll your shoulders a few times. Perfect. And then start to make some nice circles, just swinging around through the hips. Yeah, just easy does it. Just bring a little bit of movement back into the body. You might not have done any movement today, you might have done a lot. Wherever you are, just be here, this present moment, and just observe your body, observe your breath. And then go the other direction. Lovely. And then slowly bring yourself back. Again, roll your shoulders a few times, just releasing tension, shrug it out. And then pop your left hand down onto the earth, your left, and reach your right arm up and over. Just come into a beautiful side stretch. And then inhale, the arm comes up, other arm comes up and over. Good, one more time. Inhale, arm comes up, exhale, arm comes up and over. Just feel that nice side stretch. Not a movement we do very much in our life at all. We do it in our yoga practice, just opening the side ribs, breathing into the side rib cage. Lovely. And then inhale, come back, arm comes up and over. And then inhale, arm comes up, arm comes down. And again, just roll your shoulders. Perfect. Now take both arms up, interlock your hands, bring the knuckles to the top of the skull. So move the hands back a bit, and then press the webbing together and stretch the arms up. Pull the arm bones back. Reach and press for the palms. Okay, now wave a little bit over again to your left. Come back to center, press up, wave to the right. Beautiful, and then come all the way up. Stretch the arms again, one more big stretch, big reach. Now you're gonna bring the hands down, just change the interlock, press the arms out, lift the arms up, bring the hands down so the knuckles touch the top of the head, pull them back, press up, reach up. A couple breath cycles here, inhaling and exhaling. Let's do another little side bend here, opening the side body. Good, come back to center, to the other side. Arms come up and arms come down. Good, roll the shoulders again, releasing any tension. Perfect, now come onto your hands and knees. And if you have blocks, please bring them to the top of your mat. If you don't, books work really well. And if you don't have anything, you can just put your hands right on the ground, okay? So you're gonna bring your hands for now just underneath your shoulders. Your blocks will be in front and your knees are under your hips. So we'll start with some simple cat-cows. Inhale, coming forward, tailbone lifts, ribs drop. As you exhale, curl the spine. I want you to flex that spine. Good. And again, inhale, coming forward, tailbone lifts, ribs drop. And as you exhale again, come into that beautiful shape of the cat. Really opening the upper back. Good, and then again, inhale and exhale. Good, 2 more times, inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Good, now slide your right leg back, lift it up, keep your hips level, and bring the other arm forward. Hold it there for a moment. You can always have both hands on the ground or come onto your forearm, your right forearm if that's too much, to have your arms straight. Good, now hand and knee come down, you go to the other side, so left leg goes back, right arm forward, hips level. Beautiful, and then as you exhale, bring the hand and the knee down. Now slide your right leg back, lift your left arm up. And as you exhale, pull the right knee towards the chest and guide the left arm back. So you want to really pull the knee up as high as you can, and then inhale, stretch it out. You can always do this on your right forearm too if it's too much to land on the wrist. And let's go for 3 more. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to curl. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to curl. Beautiful, one more time. Inhale. And exhale. Good, now hand goes down, and a little cat-cow in between. Inhale, exhale, again, inhale, exhale, full body breath, breathing fully. Good, now let's take the left leg back, slide the right arm forward, and now as you exhale, the hand will go back behind you and the knee will pull in. Good, let's go for 5. Inhale. Use your breath. Exhale, lift the pelvic floor, lift the abdominals in and up. Inhale, exhale. See if you can cinch in on the exhale. Do the abdominals. Do it again. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to curl. We'll do 1 more. It should be 5. Inhale. Exhale. Good. And then hand and knee come down. Good. Now there'll be some big swirls this time. Yeah, make some nice big circles with your hips. You can also have the top of the feet down if you want to go a little bit farther back, or you can have your toes flexed. Good, and then come all the way around the other side. There we go. Sort of like a slinky toy here. Yeah, you can get quite creative with the movement. It should just feel good if you're unwinding tension through the spine. Perfect. Now bring yourself back into your tabletop. And you're going to take your left arm, you're going to take it out to the side. And you're going to look, if you can, towards your hand. And then as you exhale, you're just going to hold the arm underneath you, let your rib cage draw down and rotate the ribs. Good, so you're coming into a twist, but your back of your sacrum should stay level. Okay, inhale, take the arm up, exhale, close threading the needle. Good, and again, inhale, exhale. Now the next time we come up, we're gonna go all the way down. If you need a block to put under your head, if the ground is too far away, support your head. So the arm comes through and I come down onto the side of my head. So you might need to prop your head if it's just too far to get to the ground. Okay, I'll show you with the prop. So you can use the prop or not. And then this other arm, this right arm goes straight forward. And then to take that away, it's a wooden block, it's a little hard on my head. Good. And then I'm going to take my hand to my low back. It should feel pretty level here. And then I might extend my arm. So your arm could be a little forward. You don't want to crank it back and hurt the shoulder. Try to get your hand in line with your shoulder. You take a few cycles of breath. Here, inhale, exhale. Good, now you're going to unwind, so bring your right hand down, come back into table and make some swooping movements again. So just come into this lovely feeling of movement. Yeah, especially in this rainy weather, you know, we get sometimes a little stiff through the joints, the muscles get tense. We're not in the sun, we're not lying on a beach. Maybe we are, I should say that. You might be watching this from a beautiful beach. But probably you're in a rainy Vancouver or somewhere in a colder climate. Okay, now let's take your right arm up. And as you exhale, draw under. And then again, inhale. It doesn't have to be a big movement, it could be small. Think of your rib cage rolling around your spine. So as I take my right arm up, then my arm comes down, my right ribs go down to the mat, my left ribs go towards the ceiling. One more time before we twist to the full pose. And the next time, if it serves you, we'll come all the way down and come onto the side of the head. The left hand can reach forward. If I push my left hand forward, I draw my left hip back, and then my hand could go onto my low back, or it could come all the way up to the ceiling. You can take a couple breaths here, inhale and exhale. Good, and then we're going to come back, place our hand on the ground, and bring ourselves up. And once we're up, we're going to come back into some nice spiraling movements. Yeah, just make some movements. In both directions. Perfect, good. Now from here, you're going to bring your knees back a little bit and no longer under your hips. Flex your toes. Walk your hands forward. Even spider tip your fingertips to get a little bit more extension and walk your arms forward, bring your hips back. So your head might touch the ground, it might not, all is good, but continue to walk your hands forward as you drive your hips towards your heels. Get really long through your sideways. Okay, let's go on a little journey. Let's walk our arms over to the right side so we get a nice stretch to the left. Breathing into the left side ribs. Good, and then inhale, stretch the arms forward. Exhale to the left, opening the right side ribs. You might find one side's a little tighter here, a little more rigid. You soften with the breath. Lovely. Then come back, stretch your hands forward. Now, if downward dog doesn't work for you, just stay here with your elbows lifted, pushing your hands into the ground and taking your hips back. If it feels absolutely okay, you know you have the strength, you know, you might have been shoveling snow and your shoulders are not feeling happy today, then keep your knees down. Otherwise, lift up into downward dog. As I come up into downward facing dog, bend your knees. And lift your hips a little bit higher. Good. Let your head go down. And then possibly straighten your legs. Possibly, it might not be an option for you today to get the heels down, it's all good. But try not to sacrifice the height of your downward dog. In other words, your long spine and your high sitting bones to get the heels down. No compromise here, it's okay to have the heels up. Beautiful. Good, pedal out the legs now, just one leg at a time. Good, and bend the knees and rock forward to the top of your mat. Hold on, hands up, there we go. And come forward. Yeah, now when you come forward, you might need to bend your knees. That is fine. Cross your hands around your elbows. Let your elbows come a little forward so your elbows are below your shoulders. And then be brave and take your weight forward into the balls of the feet. Let your head go down. If this is really challenging for you, you can just come up. You can do this, stay here. Otherwise, if it's too much, I want you to come and do this at a wall. So you would have your hands at a wall. So you'd look just like this or hands on a chair. Okay, it doesn't have to be a deep forward bend. You're gonna do a little swaying from side to side. Bend one leg and then the other. Okay, bring that dynamic movement into the body. Lovely. And then release your hands. Just place your hands on your low back. Let your elbows draw in. Draw your abdominals towards your back waist and slowly lift up. Once you're up, take your arms up. Big breath, inhale, exhale, hands to the heart. Beautiful. And then just stand for a moment in mountain pose. I'm going to face the camera. Palms face slightly forward. Each are facing forward like little number 11s. Yeah, this is your template for your yoga practice. So feel your feet pressing down. Feel the crown of the head reaching up. And now stretch right into the fingertips. In yoga, we think of the fingers as part of the arms. So stretch into the fingertips. Lift your chest. Allow your shoulders to soften back. And take a few cycles of breath. Close your eyes for a moment and just observe your breath and your body. Take a moment to really connect. Beautiful, good. Now open your eyes. You're at the top of your mat, perhaps with blocks or books or something. You use little cans of food. And now inhale, take your arms up and stand with your arms raised, upward facing pose. Arms stretch up, thighs press back. Can you lift from your pubis to your navel so your pelvis is not tipped forward? And let your tailbone descend downwards. Good, keep stretching the arms. Think of the arms pulling up the side waist. So the side waist becomes longer. The front body becomes longer. And the back body has a gentle feeling of the shoulder blades slightly moving in to open the chest. Beautiful. Now bring your palms together. Exhale, forward fold. You're coming all the way down. Hands on blocks. Blocks are by the toes. If you don't have blocks, no worries. Hands might reach the ground. They might just come onto the shins or the knees. Doesn't matter how deep you go. Inhale, halfway lift. To do that, you probably need to raise your hands up your legs. Exhale, lower your hands down to whatever you have, legs, mat, or blocks, or books. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. As you come up, you want to come into a neutral spine. So as I come up, I start to feel that beautiful little sort of curve in my low back. You don't want it to round out. If it is rounding out, you need to come up higher. Exhale, forward fold. Good, one more time. Inhale. Exhale. Perfect. Now plant your hands down on the ground. Step your right leg all the way back. Get nice and long. And your front leg is on that 90-degree angle. Yeah. Pay attention to the weight of the foot. Make sure that you're rooting down into the base of the big toe, inner heel, pinky toe side of the foot, and outer heel. Good. Take a couple breaths. Now to challenge your balance, to challenge your leg strength, can you take your hands away from the blocks for a moment, but stay low, but don't lie on your front thigh. So there's a little space there. Start to feel your hips, your hamstrings working hard here. Beautiful. Now knee down. Good. Now once the knee goes down, wiggle it back a little bit more, and then push into your front foot, take your hands to your thighs and bring your shoulders back so your shoulders are over your outer hips. Make sure your front knee is forward. Start to feel your abdominals slightly kick in by lifting the pubis to the navel. Tailbone goes down, shoulders over hips, and now let your hips come slightly forward, just about an inch or so. So the stretch is right about here, right in the back, middle of the quadricep. Beautiful. Arms come up now. Good, looking straight forward. You might even decide you'd like to look up. Yogi's choice. Good, take a couple breaths here. These lunges are good for the hips. Beautiful, good. Now bring the hands down. And this time you're going to just move your props away if you have them. Plant your hands on the ground and slide your front leg back. Then bring your sitting bones towards your heels. Stay here if this is your downward dog. We call this puppy dog, so it's just a smaller version. Otherwise, back up to downward facing dog. Once you arrive, pedal out the legs, pressing one heel down and letting one heel lift without dropping the hips. So it's not a plank, it's a downward dog. It's a big V. Let your head hang, relax your face. Now we're going to come up on our tippy toes, bend the knees a little bit. And from here, you're going to wriggle your body forward into a plank. Good. Knees down if you need to. Okay, now draw your abdominals towards your spine. A little softness in the knees, don't lock the knees. And using your abdominals, think of them pinning towards the spine. Curl yourself and kind of exaggerating the movement. Good. And then again, inhale, a little softness in the knees as we roll forward through the spine. Knees down, I'll show you this time. And when you're ready, knees come up. Bend the knees softly, curl the spine like you're coming to almost a cat pose to bring yourself back. Lots of movement here. Again, inhale, ripple forward. Exhale, ripple back. And next time as we come forward, we're going to stay. You might need to put your knees down to stand when you do that to show you. Otherwise, your knees are up, but your hips have not dropped below your shoulders. Abdominals draw in. Crown of the head pushes forward. Heels press back. Good. Full cycle of breath. Inhale. Now exhale, knees down unless you know you have the strength to do it with your knees up. Elbows draw back and come all the way down. Good. Once you're down, press the toenails down. Hands move back underneath the shoulders or farther. And then on inhale, start to come up into your first little baby cobra. Good. As you exhale, lower down. And inhale, coming forward and up. Shoulders roll back, collarbones spread. Good. Let's continue on. A couple more of these. This time as you come up, just see if you can lift your hands at your feet like you're flying. Feel like your pelvis is rooted right deep into the earth. Extend out through the crown of the head, out through the tippy toes. Take a full breath in. As you exhale, hands come down by the side ribs, feet come down. Flex your toes, do a little push-up. Arms are straight, hips go back. Want to find the perfect length for downward dog. This should usually work. And when you're ready, draw your abdominals towards your back waist and lift up. You're back into downward dog. Take a couple breaths. Knees down, downward dog if you prefer. We're staying for 5 breaths. Beautiful. Now drop your knees to the earth. You're going to look at your right hand. It's easier to bring the foot through. The foot can also go to the side to bring it through. Otherwise, hand lifts up, foot steps through, right foot towards the right hand. Hand is now lifted, and we're going to turn and open towards the bent leg, towards the right. So you might be just a little bit in a twist. You might go deeper into the twist. You might really want to bring the arm back and the wrist forward. Just make sure it doesn't bother your shoulder. Very nice. Now you're going to bring your hands down onto the ground. I'm going to bring my blocks back. you were using something before, get it again, okay? If not, your hands can go onto the earth. And then you're gonna pick up your back knee. And reach that crown of the head forward. Beautiful. Now soften your back leg, a little bend. You're gonna be springy in the back leg. Do a couple little test runs here. So when you step forward, there's a lightness in the step. Step forward on the inhale, exhale, and then inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold towards the earth. Hands go to the low back, elbows hug in. Also be on thighs if that's more supportive for you. And I draw my abdominals to my back waist to lift myself up. And once I'm up, I take my arms up, looking up. I have more movement now in the upper back. Exhale, hands to the heart. Close your eyes and take 3 breaths. Press your palms together. Press your thighs back and lift the front of your pelvis up. Mountain pose, as I said, is a template for all the yoga postures, even if you're upside down on your head. Good. Now open your eyes and we'll go into the other side. So inhale, bend the knees, take the arms up, big sweeping circle. And once you arrive at the top, hold your arms up for a moment. Take a full breath here. Inhale. Exhale. Again, inhale. Exhale, palms together, forward fold, coming down towards the earth. So hands on legs or ground or blocks or suitcases or coffee cups, whatever you can find. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Lovely. Now step your left leg back. So your right leg is at a 90-degree angle. Now, sometimes the hip is tight. It's hard to get that leg into a deep bend. Could also be the knee. So if you need a little straighter, that is okay. And then once you've found it, can you, for a moment, can you hover your hands away from the earth? Can you just find your strength through your legs? Can you connect to the earth? Stay low though, don't pop up. And see if you can find some space between the front thigh and the frontal ribs. So you're not lying there and just resting. You're using your legs. Good. Take a couple breaths here. Inhale, exhale. Do make sure your knee is pointing straight forward. It hasn't wobbled in or out. Beautiful. And then put your hands down and drop the back knee. Good. Check your alignment of your front foot. Heel is right below the knee. And then when you're ready to come up, take your hands away from your blocks. You could also just bring your arms forward. So you don't have to press here. Otherwise, press onto your thigh. Take your shoulders over your outer hips. Lift the front of your pelvis up so you feel the frontal abdominal start to tone and tailbone goes down. And then once you've found that, let your hips go slightly forward so the stretch is more in the middle of the back thigh, not at the top of the hip. It's not a good place for it to get stretched. Lovely. And then your arms can come up. And you might even decide to look up or just look forward. But don't let your pelvis just sink towards the earth. You're really mobile through the hips and the pelvis. Try not to sink. You're allowed to come a little bit forward so you really work that back stretch, the back quad. You want to overdo it. Good. And then you're slowly moving your hands down. Again, they go towards the earth. So you can bring your front leg back. Now you could go right into downward dog. So you could press into downward dog, or you could take a little journey. The journey is nice because it teaches us how to drop our pelvis over our legs. And when we come up into downward dog, we still keep that shape. You want a long spine here. If you feel your spine is jammed up a bit, maybe walk your hands a little more forward. And you can also turn your hands slightly out, the tiniest amount, maybe 2 or 3 degrees, if your shoulders feel more comfortable. Good, let your head hang. And then pedal out those legs again. Just one leg bends, one leg straightens. You might start to notice, oh yeah, my heels are starting to come down a little bit more. Feels really good. Good, come back to downward dog. Hips high, thighs back, head down. And now we're going to come up onto those tippy toes, a little bend in the knees as we propel our body forward into our plank. We're rippling forward. Knees can come down. Always your option. As you exhale, lift your abdominals towards your spine, a little softness in the knees to lift us up, and then we straighten the leg, just so we're not locking the joints. Let's do that a few more times. I'll show you the modification. We come up, we come forward into plank, and right away the knees come down. And then when we're ready to come back, we lift the knees up, draw the abdominals back, and press into downward dog. If you've had enough, take child's pose. We'll do this a couple more times. I want you to get that feeling of really rippling. The water element, which we're all very aware of today. That fluid movement of water. Good. Now, next time you come forward into plank, pause for a moment, knees up or down. I'm going to bring them down. Good. Reach the crown of the head forward. Now, as you exhale, draw the elbows back and come all the way to the earth. Lovely. Now, from here, a little change. You're going to bring your fingertips quite wide out. You guys can see me, okay? I'm going to move these blocks out of the way. So your fingertips are pressing onto the earth. Your elbows are lifted. They're not dropped back, okay? And you're going to lift up. You're going to draw your chin towards your chest. I call this the cobra wave. And we're going to do a little waving from side to side. So come through center, curl up, go to the other side. You're looking towards the elbow. And just do some cobra waves. You know, you can just kind of play with the movement. You know, sometimes the hands get really quite tired here. So if it's too much, you can also just take a break and bring your palms down. You just won't have quite as much movement with your hands flat. Little cobra wave, finding that beautiful movement. Lovely. And then now you can bring your hands down by your side ribs. Inhale, come up. So you're coming back into more of a cobra, classical cobra. You might even want to come up a little higher, pubis down. And so you don't really want to lift your pubis off the ground in cobra. You want to have it down. That's why it's pretty intense here, because I'm really bending into my upper spine. You might be bending into your low back too much. If you are, just lower down and take that tension up. Good. And then you lower all the way down. Good. Now, a little change here. You're going to cross your arms. And you get to rest your forehead on your arms for a moment, which should feel really nice. If you have back issues, keep your feet on the ground, okay? So you can just decide how deep you want to go. If all is well, the first one, you're going to lift your elbows off the ground and lift your legs up. And then bring your legs down, bring your elbows down. Now, if you want to go a little deeper, you're going to lift your legs. You can do one at a time or both at the same time. And then you lift your elbows, and then you lift your arms away from the ground. Perfect. Then you bring your arms down, your head down, your legs down. Good. Again, legs, maybe chest and arms, or maybe just the elbows. Good. And then lowering down. If you start to feel this in your low back, I would say reach your toes super long, like your legs are stretching, and maybe just hover. You know, there's a lot of load in the low back to lift the legs if you're not recruiting your glutes properly. Okay, so let's try that again. Legs up. Embrace those glutes and the hamstrings that are working here. That's why you might feel, wow, it's a lot of work. And exhale, lower down. We'll do one more. Take a breath here before we go. Inhale. Exhale all the tension out. And then inhale to lift. And exhale to lower. Beautiful. Now just let your hips shift from side to side. Beautiful. Good. And now bring your hands back by your side ribs. Flex your toes. Do a little push up. And we are all going to bring our sitting bones to our hips just to stretch out that back. Yeah, because it might have gotten a little bit tense doing all that work. Your head go down. Perfect. Now, if you're going to downward dog, please take it. If not, you stay here, puppy dog. Otherwise, up, back and up into downward dog. Heels down, thighs back, head releases. I can feel like now my downward dog is too short. I feel a little jammed in my spine. I'm going to walk my hands forward. How does that feel? Can you get more length from your tailbone to the back of your skull in a longer stance? Perfect. Now bring your knees down towards the earth. So you're in a tabletop position. Look at your left hand. Pick it up and guide your left foot forward. You also pick it up and actually bring it around into the front of the mat. The right hand can turn out a little bit, gives you a little bit more opening in the upper back, a little more stability. And then from here, the left arm can either stay on the left thigh, or you can extend the arm and turn and rotate and looking up. Take a couple breaths here. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Beautiful. Now bring the hand down. I'm going to grab my little friends again, my blocks. Pick up my back knee. Stretch my back leg. You want to get a nice stretch of that back leg. Perfect. Now bend your back leg and step forward. Remember, springy, springy, springy. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold towards the earth. Now take your hands to your low back. Elbows draw in on the inhalation. Come all the way up. Stretch your arms up. Deep breath. Exhale, hands to the heart. Full breath in. Full breath out. Perfect. Okay, now let's come into a nice little shoulder opener. So we're going to come into eagle pose. I'm going to walk back so you guys can see me, hopefully. You might not see all of me, but that is okay. You can see the arms and the legs, which is important, okay? If you feel a little wobbly, just please stand at the wall. You'll have support behind you, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. It's a good choice sometimes. Good, now take your arms out like big wings, eagle wings. Stretch into your fingertips. Often when the arms are held out for a long time, you get quite tired in the neck and the shoulders. So one way you can kind of think of it is, think of your arms start right in the center of your back, right in the middle of your shoulder blades, and they're anchored there and they're extending right out into the fingertips. Another way to think of it, which might make more sense to you, is they actually start in your side waist. So they're an extension of your side waist. They go up and they go out. So those shoulders don't have to bear the weight of holding the arms out. Good, now you can take your left arm and draw it underneath. And the first time, I'm just going to hold on to the back of your shoulders. I'm just going to bend so you can see me just doing a little hug. For coming to yoga. You're so proud of yourself. Such a good job. If you're watching the recording, wonderful that you're taking this time to nourish yourself. Beautiful. And now if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can start to lift the forearms, and maybe the forearms come together. We're not going to bend our legs yet, but we will. Back of the hands might touch, or the palms could touch. Don't pull on the thumb doesn't like it. And then just lift the elbows up and forward. Nice. Just feel those wings spreading on the back. Think of an eagle circling above the trees. Very nice. Good. Now take your arms out. Again, stretch the arms, bring the arms down. Roll the shoulders. A couple gentle rolls. And now you're going to extend your arms out again. Remember, arms start in the middle of the back or the side waist and stretch into the fingertips. Perfect. Now take your right arm underneath. Give yourself that bear hug. Notice it feels a little bit different when you change the crossing. You might try to be able to walk your hands farther back. Lovely. And then from there, this might be a perfect place for you. You don't want your elbows to drop down. Lots of times guys have pretty big shoulders. This is really hard to do because there's so much, muscle mass. Good. And now you can go a little deeper. I'm just going to slide down so you can see me. Maybe the forearms come together, the back of the hands touch, or the palms. And then I come back up, straight legs. Elbows pull forward and away. Couple breaths here. Can you feel the movement of your shoulder blades as I breathe in? They pulsate away from the spine. They broaden. As you exhale, they nudge in towards the spine. So the whole body breathes. Beautiful. Now take your arms out. Bring your arms down, roll your shoulders. Now, if you feel a little wobbly, you could have a chair beside you for your hands, so you're going to cross the legs, or you could just have your buttocks at the wall, but you would need to have your heels quite far away because you're going to wrap your legs, okay? So support, but you can take what support you need, okay? Otherwise, you're going to soften at your knees, okay? This is important to keep the knees safe when you do this pose. Good. Now you're going to pick up your left leg and you're slowly going to guide it across. As you guide it across, try not to swing the hips with it, okay? So you might just bring it across like you're sitting in a chair, but you're standing. And you might be able to wrap your foot. It's going to have to organize this a bit, yeah. So your feet might wrap, they might not, and then I sink down a little bit lower. Yeah, now when I do this, I want to think of my outer hip squeezing in, my inner thigh squeezing together. This pose can be a little problematic if you've got something going on with the knees, you can't flex your knees deeply. Then you just do, I'll show you the modification, a little figure 4 kind of thing. Okay, now to come out of it, keep the standing leg a little bit bent as you come up and straighten the legs. Good, bend your knees and straighten your legs. Okay, soften both knees. Take your right leg across. It's coming across. My hips are not wanting, they want to come, but I'm going to say no, 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 no. And I'm going to wrap. Yeah. Now the hips tend to turn, so I'm just going to bring my hips back. I'm going to sink down a little bit. Squeeze my groins, squeeze my inner thighs. This is an internal rotation. And the outer hips are compacting in like you're being squeezed a bit. Good, and just sit there for a moment. Yeah, this works the glutes. You're getting the hamstring to contract. Take your weight into your heel a little bit more, maybe pick up your toes. You'll really start to feel the work in the back of the leg. Lovely. Now, when you come out of it, keep that standing leg softly bent, straighten the leg. Don't want to lock the knee and twist the knee when you're coming out of the pose. Good. Now you're just going to bend your knees, roll your shoulders. Just let all of that go. And now we'll put the arms and the legs together, okay? So you're going to stand in mountain pose, feet apart. Soften at the knees, we'll go slow. And you're going to slowly guide the left leg across, arms are out. And as the leg comes across, this arm, which is your right arm, is going to come on top. Good. And then I'm going to sit down. Breathe. Go a little lower. Take your weight into your heel. Find your balance, your steadfastness, your resiliency. Good. And then press up. Standing leg is a little bent. And pedal it out. Good. So what you'll find is that one leg it's always a little bit different. Okay. So now we're going to press into your left leg. Your right leg's going to come across, just changing. This one comes across. And this arm comes on top. Settle. Try to get the hips square. You might have to kind of turn a little bit. That's okay. Sink back into the heels a bit. Squeeze your inner thighs, inner groins together. Good. And slowly come up. Bring your arms down. Close your eyes and stand in mountain pose. Just feel the energy moving through the body. Inhale and exhale. Good. Now we're going to come into tree pose. So tree pose is the opposite. We're externally rotating the leg. This is another one where you might want to stand against the wall. Actually, I encourage people to stand against the wall because it kind of tells them if they're cheating. But if you have your balance and there's no wall for you, you can stand in the middle of the room. If you don't have a wall, but your balance is a little iffy, put your hand on the chair of the standing leg, okay? We're going to pick up the left leg first, so you would have your hand on something on the right side. So I'm going to pick up my left leg. I'm going to open it out, so it's going the other way than it did before. And I'm going to put my foot against my leg. Now, if you want to bring it up a little higher, try not to lean forward to bring it up. So hug it up. And literally, I hug my foot to my leg to my foot. Now, this leg, to get this leg to open more, to get the groin to open more, this buttock, the lifted leg, the right, or the left, I should say, left leg is lifted, has to push forward. Has to go into the body. This hip has to hug in. And then once you find your stability, hands can come to your heart, or you might want to extend your arms all the way up. See if you can stay for 5 steady, slow breaths. Very nice. And bring your hands down, Lift up your foot, bring your knee forward, hold the leg up for a moment, still working with balance here. And then slowly lower the leg down. Stand, receive the asana, receive the yoga pose and all of its benefits. Perfect. Now press down firmly into your standing leg, which will now be your left leg. Right leg comes up, right leg opens to the side. Foot goes against the leg, not on the knee, though you don't want to push on the inner knee. So it could be quite low down, or you can start to lift it and pull it up. Good. And then you push your foot to your leg, leg to your foot, and take the right buttock into the body and forward. You don't want to just stick out like you're on a surfboard. You want to hug it in. The standing leg hugs in. You don't want to let it lean out to the side. And then you can take your hands to your heart, looking down at your drishti, your focal point. Smile here. Or possibly extending the arms out. If you feel wobbly, I would keep your hands close to the body. Good, then bring the knee forward, plant the foot on the ground, and stand in mountain pose. Shoulders, release any tension. Perfect. Now we're going to go into a different pose. So you're going to be on the long edge of your mat because you'll need the length of it. And we're going to bring the toes. So the toes, we'll start with the toes a little bit out to the side. The feet just slightly turned out. And you're going to come into your version of like a goddess pose. Yeah. Now, you're going to start to move a little bit from side to side. So you don't have to be super low. If you find, this is so far so good, you could turn your toes forward more. We call this little ninja movements, little ninja flow. And you could also let the arms kind of go too. I know it's kind of interesting, but just get that fluidity, right? Make sure your knees are always tracking over the center of your foot. So when I go to the left, my right leg can straighten. When I go to the other side, my left leg can straighten. Yeah, so you're just kind of going from side to side. You might go a little lower, you might be a little higher. Good, just do some little ninja flows. Perfect. Good, now come back up. Perfect. Now often the inner thighs are a little bit on the tighter side. So I want you just to turn your toes out a little bit. Make sure when you bend, it doesn't have to be big, that your knee is right aligned over the center of your foot. So you don't want to be knock knee, okay? To get that, you've got to release the inner groins a little bit more. So just kind of feel that, do a little sway from side to side. And I want you just to notice today how those inner groins feel. They might feel tight, they might not, mine do. And I'm going to show you a nice little movement, a little somatic stretch. We can do two today, two different movements to help to release the groins. So you're going to keep your legs bent. And you're going to come down with your hands on the ground, okay? And then from here, we're going to keep pressing our thighs out. Think of pulling your heels together, but you're not going to move your feet, but dragging your heels slightly together. And you're slowly going to come up to the count of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, palms to the heart, legs are straight. Good, take a breath here, inhale. Exhale. If you're having any knee issues with this one, do not do it. Yeah, if you're having any knee stuff, just have your feet forward and you can just come into a straight legged forward fold, okay? Otherwise, you're back in your bend and you're going to come down. And it doesn't mean your hands have to touch the ground. Maybe they're here. Okay, keep pressing the thighs out, keep hugging the heels in. You could also have your hands on a little support system, right? Good, make sure your abdominals are slightly connected, and then slowly start to peel up. So the legs will straighten as we come up. So I'll count backwards. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good, let let that go, let that release completely. Take a full breath, inhale, a full breath, exhale. We got one more to go, bend the knees, press the thighs outwards, draw the heels inwards towards each other. Come down, good. And now slowly coming up. The hands will arrive at the heart at the end, legs will be straight. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're back to the top. Beautiful, good. Now slowly just walk your legs in and just shake out your legs. So just get some movement. Good, now the next part of this, we have to sit down. So you're gonna come down to sitting. And this is another one that if you need a little support system for your buttocks, I'm gonna sit on my little meditation cushion because it's just more comfortable. So sitting on the ground might not be comfortable for you, then just sit on some height. Okay, now your feet are together, your knees are apart. Then you're gonna put your hands on your inner knee, okay? Good, bring your legs up. And now you're gonna press out, so you're gonna resist. So as I push, my knees are up right now. I'm gonna push my hands into my knee and my knee into my hands. So there's a resistance. I'm pushing out. I'm not just letting my legs flop. My legs are stopping the movement. So as you go through it, you want to kind of relax into the very end of it. Okay. So I'll count 10, 9, resist, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let it go. Oh, let those legs just relax. Good. Bring the legs back up. And then you've got your little hands pressing into your inner knees. And you're going to push out. But as I push out, my legs are resisting. My legs don't want to go out. Make sure it doesn't go into your back, okay? It'll be about 6, 5, 4. Let it go. 3, 2, 1. Let it go. Big breath in, big breath out. Good. One more time. Last one. Maybe you're going to put your hands against your knees again, and you're going to push out. 1, 2, 3. Keep resisting. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whoa, good. And then bring your knees up. Bring your feet forward. Let your knees come off this cushion. Let your knees go back and forth. Now, because we did that, let's go back and see what happened. Because sometimes you can get quite a change in your body. And if you don't, that's okay too. Maybe you just need to do it more often. Something you could do daily, right? So you come back into your little goddess spot, just a little one, not a real deep one. And just notice you feel a little bit more open in the groins. And then as you start to just travel from side to side, is there less tension in the inner thighs? I'm not saying you go super deep, but it just feel like there's a little bit more of a release. Yeah, back and forth, just feel, just observing and try to soften with the breath. Good, and then from there, you're gonna come up, you're gonna bring your feet together. With your arms up, and we're just gonna come into a nice side stretch. The other side. Beautiful, good. And then from here, we'll bring your arms down and roll the shoulders. Good, now we're gonna make it simple. We're gonna come onto our back, since we only have 1 or 2 more poses before our beautiful Shavasana. So if you need a blanket, if you need a little sliver of a blanket for your head to support the head, you can put it there. Otherwise, you're gonna roll yourself down. If your head is tilted back, you just want a little tiny, like I say, a small towel under the head. You don't want to have the head pushed forward. And then all you're going to do is pull your right knee in towards your chest, stretch your left leg out. Take a breath here, inhale and exhale. Let it melt, let it go. Now, when you're ready, your left hand is a gentle touch. It's just a guide. It's helping. It's a helping hand to take the right leg across to the left. The right arm reaches out to the side, the head turns to the right, and I just feel that supine twist. Letting go of all that tension. Hour ago, that's so old now, that tension. Good. Come back, slide the right leg straight, pull the left leg in. If it bothers your knee, hold behind the knee if that's more comfortable. And then light touch, right hand on left leg, drags it across, gentle guide. Head can turn to the left palm. And come into a supine twist. Lovely, now come back. And all you're gonna do here is slide both legs straight, nice and wide. Toes will probably turn out. Palms rest on the ground, palms facing the ceiling. The back of the hands on the earth, tuck your shoulder blades in, elevate your chest. Let your legs relax, let your arms relax. Start to observe the weight of your body in the earth. Soften your face, soften your jaw. See, for the next just few moments in time, you can be still. Relax your face, your jaw, your throat. Whole body soften into the earth. Now slowly take a full breath in, a full breath out. Bring your feet onto the earth. Place your hands on your abdomen. Take a full breath cycle. And then when you're ready, please roll onto your right side. And when you're ready, gently press yourself up. Join your palms at your heart. Take a full breath, inhale. As you exhale, bow to your heart. You are loved. You are blessed. You are an extension of divinity. Namaste. May you all have a wonderful day. Stay warm, safe, dry, and be kind to yourself.